Hi guys, this is gsno.com and I'm here with the unboxing of a special version of the OnePlus 11 5G. No Pro version this time around, and we have here a bundle, at least available in this part of Europe. Once again, it's co-developed with Hasselblad, and here we are. So, it's the first flagship of the year 2023 and the first Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor device that you get to see, and the bundle which you have here includes this pair of headphones, cementing once again the link between Oppo and OnePlus. It's a pair of Oppo Enco X2 with 11mm drivers and also with about 20 plus hours of battery life, 1 hour required for charging, a special gaming mode with lower latency, active noise cancelling, and Dynaudio technology. So Dynaudio has been working with Oppo before. Also LHDAC4 as a welcome extra for purists. Okay, so the special box only holds these headphones. The price is 900 to 950 euros, once again in Eastern Europe at least. But this is the core of this unboxing. Over the past year, we've tested the OnePlus 10 Pro and the OnePlus 10T. Honestly, the 10T felt like a bit of a letdown on account of the fact that it was actually similar to the OnePlus Nord 2T in some regards, including the main camera. And here we are. This is the brand new iconic camera design. One would call it sort of like a Huawei Mate, but moved towards the side. Last year, the module was square. This time it's rounded, and it has some a chromed look, I would say, and also some stainless steel to adorn it and make it safer. Let's see if jerry-rig everything is able to break it, or maybe not. Anyway, we have a screen protection pre-applied from the factory, and the device is available in either this sort of green or a black Titan hue. Okay, so the device is firing up. It's already been set up. This is an unboxing, so let's see what's inside the box. On paper, you should also be getting a case. Doesn't seem to be the case here, but you do get a bunch of welcome stuff. Quick guide, safety guide, this sticker set, and there should also be a SIM key here somewhere, unless I missed it. Anyway, we have a test version, so some things may be missing if we're not looking carefully for them. Oh, here we go. This is the key used to access the dual nano SIM card slots, and I'm guessing that here is the usual message from the OnePlus team. Okay, with everything solved in order, we proceed even further. Let's see what's inside this part of the box. A hefty charger with an USB-A connector, and it promises us, with very small writing here, that it will reach 100 watt charging, which is pretty impressive. Last year it was 80 watts, now we have moved to the next level. Okay, and finally, there's also a cable, the usual red cable, which goes from USB-A, you can see here the connector, to USB-C, which will become mandatory in the European Union from 2024. Apple has to adapt to that, most of all. Okay, we're pretty much done with the innards of the box. Time to focus on the handset itself. It's made of glass, obviously. Glass back, Gorilla Glass 5 protection, glass front with Gorilla Glass Victus protection, and the frame is metal, not very sure which. It should be stainless steel, but it's probably aluminum. That must be investigated in our review. Other things worth mentioning, well, the fact that I'm not very sure there's any IP certification here. Sometimes there is a gasket for protection, but OnePlus won't mention it. And I think it's time to move to other things. For example, if you want measurements, 8.53mm in thickness, 205 grams. It's a pretty bulky phone, and I have to admit it's slightly slippery, although they have thought out the ergonomics pretty well. My hand easily reaches the power button, and my hand easily reaches the volume buttons here, so pretty nicely distributed, and also the weight is pretty well distributed. You would say it's a top-heavy phone. It's actually not top-heavy. The weight is shared all around the design. It's a bit odd to see that the back is green and we have this silver insertion here, sort of asymmetrical. Anyway, it's reasonably comfy, although once again, when you first hold it and use it, you'll find it quite slippery and it draws some fingerprints. Now the screen, which we're graced with here, it's a AMOLED, obviously, not your regular AMOLED. It's a super fluid AMOLED with LTPO. It goes as low as 1 Hz and as high as 120 Hz. 6.7 inches, by the way, Quad HD Plus resolution, and I should also mention the fact that it offers up to 1000 Hz touch response and 10-bit color depth, which is no small feat, even nowadays. Now that the screen is pretty much done, let's see what we got here when it comes to the CPU. Once again, this is our very first contact with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor, and I have to admit, not much has changed. It's still a 4nm chip. It's an octa-core setup, but the interesting thing is the standards which we are getting here. Let me actually show that to you. So there's an app called IDA, and it should give us more results, hopefully. Okay, so this is the CPU and its cores, which you can see here, and then we have the goodies. 16 gigs of RAM, it's LPDDR5X, and 256 gigabytes of storage of the UFS 4.0 variety. OnePlus promises up that we have up to 44 apps available which can be active in the background at the same time, which is a pretty impressive promise even for a phone that belongs to the year 2023. I guess we'll have to wait and see. You can also add up to an extra 12 gigabytes of virtual RAM from this section here, as you can see for yourself. Now the battery is a 5000 mAh unit which charges at 100 watts via wire. Not sure if you have wireless charging or not. We'll have to look into it once the review is done. They implemented something here called the battery health engine. They're really keen on making the device run flawlessly for a long while. So basically this battery health engine also includes a mechanism that improves the electrolyte formula to keep things going for a longer time and not deplete the battery too fast as the months and years pass. Cooling is also an important part of the package, and I'm going to enter the area here for gaming. So you have a 3685mm square vapor chamber and a graphene mid layer, all for the sake of cooling and hot air dissipation. So there's that. Also Dolby Vision, forgot to mention that since we're in the gaming department as well. Now since we're covering games, we should also cover multimedia. Speaker number 1, part of a set of 2. The other one is here at the top side. We have a stereo speaker setup on this handset. For security, you can see me using right now the face unlock. If I hide my face, it's trying to search it. It found it and unlocked it. There's also a fingerprint scanner in the screen of the optical variety, and you can use it to swipe up and trigger a variety of options. You can find them here. Quick launch, it's called quick launch. So swipe up from it and you can activate various apps, shortcuts. On the connectivity front, I would say it's a pretty typical affair. It's a 5G Wi-Fi 6E, Bluetooth 5.3, GPS dual band, NFC, but modestly only an USB-C 2.0 port at the bottom. I don't get why. Usually Xiaomi does this. It also has dual nano SIM card slots. Now on the camera front, you can see in the cutout, which we have here at the top left side, 16 megapixel camera with a Sony sensor, 5p lens, and sadly only fixed focus. At the back side, we have a triple camera with this big Hasselblad logo down the middle, rabbit in the sensors, and the main camera is a 50 megapixel Sony IMX890. It's a sensor I haven't seen very often. It has a 6p lens and a combo of optical and electronic image stabilization. By the way, f1.8 aperture. There is an ultrawide 48 megapixel camera with 115 degrees capture and a telephoto portrait 32 megapixel camera with a Sony IMX709 sensor and f2.0 aperture plus 6p lens. You can also see here the dual LED flash, and there's some interesting things to mention here when it comes to the focusing. There's a combo of continuous autofocus and phase detection autofocus, and judging by the skip that you can see here, my guess is that we only have 2x optical zoom, which feels like a bit of a letdown, but at least you have these steps to play with. Okay, so camera wise, there's a lot to tell here. There's a lot to unpack. Hasselblad is part of the package through this feature here, the Pro mode, which lets you tweak some things. Basically, once again, they're contributing with color profiles and also their very own typical Hasselblad look. They're also involved in the portrait area. You can create a special Hasselblad portrait, a special kind of photograph which will mimic some of their lenses launched throughout the years. This is the photo section where you can find some AI contribution, scene enhancement, and the video, once again AI highlight video borrowed straight from Oppo. Now you can film 4K up to 60 frames per second, but you can also film 8K in 24 FPS. And of course there's also a night mode with a special tripod mode here, and the stabilization is applied either this way, Ultra Steady Pro, or you can have the regular steady one, which is actually not bad. So this is Ultra Steady Pro on the ultra wide, and this is the Ultra Steady on the main camera. That's the differences that you're getting. Okay, I think it's enough with the camera, even though we could actually talk more about it, like the 13 channel multispectral color sensor, which keeps the colors looking very realistic. I'm not sure where it's placed and hidden here, but it's somewhere here, that multispectral sensor. Okay, so software wise, this is Android 13. You probably figured that out by now. It's with OxygenOS 13 on top, and people have been complaining about the fact that, well, it's not as it used to be, meaning that it borrows more and more from Oppo. I'm using gesture navigation, as you can see for yourself. This is the drop down area, notifications and quick settings. And if you do a swipe like this on the screen, this is the shelf area, your aggregator for the Spotify, weather, and all sorts of useful things, which you can actually group here for yourself. A sort of collection of widgets if you want to. Okay, aside from that, we also have the most important features here. Split screen, flexible windows, quick launch, smart sidebar. If you're into sidebars, they've become trendy on Vivo, Oppo and Realme phones. There's a kit space, a simple mode, and a work-life balance, which lets you create a profile for work and a profile for relaxing. So you can easily alternate between them and automate some of the features and tasks of the phone. In the gaming department, we have a special mechanisms, a sort of hyper engine which stabilizes the frame rate when you're gaming, coupled with AI, which learns your habits. That's pretty much it as far as the OnePlus 11 5G is concerned. Definitely a camera designed to remember. I like the fact that it's not top heavy, the way it is very well distributed. I find it to be a bit slippery, and I look forward to learning what the actual optical zoom is, if we have IP certification or not, and several other quirks of the device. Now, when everything's said and done, I expect a very fast charge. On paper, they promise 25 minutes. I guess we have to wait and see. I'm curious about the brand new CPU, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is the first time I'm seeing it on this handset. And I'm also rather curious about the screen brightness and, of course, the camera and those colors which Hasselblad promises. Last year, I mean, the phone was good, but it wasn't as impressive as the OnePlus 9 Pro ahead of it. Let's see if the OnePlus 11 delivers this year. That's it from gsno.com. Goodbye.